Hey everybody, welcome to another brand new episode of Liftoff with Jeannie Walden. We have so many great guests coming on, and we're starting off with somebody amazing. We're not only going to talk about business insights, tips for work, tips for home, so much more. We're going to make you love your life even more than you do right now. And let's get started by talking about some of the changing trends in the news and the hot topic on all of our minds today, real estate. We're kicking it off with our great expert, Biana D'Alessio. She is a highly acclaimed real estate broker, ranked #1 in New York City and New York State, and #14 in the nation for 2022. She manages a 10 billion, that's right, billion portfolio for Nest Seekers International and stars in HBO Max's Selling the Hamptons. Biana, we're so excited to have you.
I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having me on.
Now, what most people don't know that are watching is that we had to tape your first name 75 times.
Yes.
But I got your last name right from the very beginning. So this is going to be a fun
You
interview.
did great.
Because who knows what I'm going to say next. But so it's changing daily, as we know. But tell us about the real estate market right now.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And every pocket of the United States is performing differently right now. My major market is New York City, which is a beast of its own. I do a lot of new development, so we're seeing a lot of activity there. But what we're seeing in the suburban markets is an absolute feeding frenzy, despite rates being at these levels. So it's very interesting to monitor in real time. And I'm excited to see what the rest of this year shakes out to be.
You can't buy, you can't rent. Like there's not enough property, especially for everybody's dream place to rent in the summer, the Hamptons.
Yes.
Right? So do you have any insights on how to make it work, renting in the Hamptons and overall?
Start soon, like today.
Or
if you're looking for this summer, you should start right now. But you also need to work with a broker because so many of these opportunities are off market. And that's crucial if you want to be able to get the best inventory, is starting early and working with someone who has the insight and the knowledge and the Rolodex of properties that you're not seeing online.
Yeah. So let's talk about home ownership. What do you think the future is for that?
Listen, it's really difficult in America right now. Different pockets of the market are performing differently, and the upper end is, operates in its own world. The luxury market is very, very strong right now, which gives us confidence for every other sector. But the dream of home ownership is just continuing to get harder and harder as it's more expensive just to live in this world right now. So
we cannot end on a depressing note like that. So say something more positive.
Oh, always invest in real estate. Because no matter what, it's always going to keep going up.
So true.
Get in now. Do not wait, because the market's just going to keep going up, and there's no better and safer asset than buying a home.
That is so true. And last question for you. During COVID, we could all work remotely. So everybody moved to wherever they felt like moving, to be with family, to be with friends, to be in low state tax places. And then we all started coming back to work, and then people started to move back again. And then climate change happened and people started to move back again. How do you see shape? Do you think we're all just going to keep switching homes and locations and possibly add on second and third homes? Like, where do you see
I do see us being a more transient group right now. And I think we'll continue to see those trends. And I think that that's healthy for the market, honestly, feeling that flow of people moving in and out of cities and allowing for new people to come in and exit. It just creates opportunity in the market. So I love opportunity in the market. There's a lot of it. Get in now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This was great. Don't you just love our expertise? You got to keep watching, because we have more experts coming up right after the break. Christina Ferrari is a New York Times bestselling author, TV personality, model, accomplished chef, homemaker, entrepreneur, food blogger, commercial spokesperson. Christina, our audience recognizes you from so many of your TV hosting shows and your own network cooking show. So I gotta know, when did your passion for cooking actually begin?
Ever since I was a kid, I just loved it. So, and to the credit to my mother and my grandmother, they let me in there and they started me off with little things. And before you know it, I started telling them what to do. But it was such a wonderful experience for me. And it became my passion as young as I was, because most people, when they have a passion, maybe they find it earlier in life or in the middle or later on, but I found it as a child. And that's something that has come with me throughout my whole lifetime, was my love of food and family and getting together and cooking and the science of cooking. That is what I love the most.
Tell us about your new ebooks.
Yes, I have a new ebook. I'm doing a series of ebooks for Legible, and I have 15 more to do. I finished my pasta one. I wanted to do it in increments. I wanted to do a pasta. The next one I'm working on now is called Garden of Earthly Delights, because spring is coming up and all the fresh vegetables are going to be in bloom. And so I'm doing a series of that. And then in the summertime, we'll do smoothies and summertime food. And as we get into the fall, it will be soups. And then, of course, the holidays, which I can't wait to do that one.
You know, and many people know the journey that my mom's on with her lung cancer, and she's been getting so much better by changing her food habits. Do you really believe that there is a big connection between food and health? And can food change your health even if you started out not eating the right way and shifted to something that's much healthier?
Yes, as a matter of fact, my last cookbook, Food for Thought, it was #1 on Amazon for brain health. And I always believe that food is medicine for your body. And I was raised that way with my parents. My parents were from Italy, and we always ate we ate Mediterranean. And it's very important for me to it is very important for me to understand how food affects your body. It affects your health. Everything you eat, everything you put in it has an effect on your body. So I did this cookbook when I wanted to do the cookbook, because I believe that people love to eat and they don't want to give up what they love, their hamburgers and their fries and everything. It took me 3 years to finish it, but I came up with a book that will let you eat anything that you want except processed sugars and hydrogenated oils. And hydrogenated oils are oils that solidify at room temperature. And the rest of the things that you can eat, it's all how you prepare it, what ingredients are in them. You have to make sure that there are no additives and preservatives and things that it can affect your body. As you know, there's such an epidemic, with cancer and all kinds of diseases that affect your body that is directly correlated with what it is that you're eating. And the environment plays an important part too, but you need to do everything you can to stay healthy, and food is one of them. So all of my cookbooks, I take in mind what it is I'm using, the kind of ingredients that I'm using, and how to put them together and how to cook them to benefit your lifestyle.
Thank you so much, Christina. This was fabulous and so exciting to see everything that you're doing.
And I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. Thank you.
Want more great insights? Don't move, because we'll be right back. A new book has been released that examines the challenges facing parents trying to raise mentally healthy children in today's modern world. Joining us right now is Dr. Daniel Amen, one of the top neuropsychiatrists in the nation and co-author of Raising Mentally Strong Kids, a book that reveals what's missing from most parenting books. Dr. Daniel Amen is also the author of 18 New York Times best-selling books, and he co-authored this book with Dr. Charles Fay, one of the top child psychologists in the nation. Dr. Daniel, thanks so much for coming on the show. I need to know why this book is so critical right now at this time in our world.
Kids are in trouble more than ever before. A brand new study from the CDC said 54% of teenage girls are persistently sad. Think about that. That 24% have planned to kill themselves, 13% have tried to kill themselves. These are numbers we have never seen before. And, there are all sorts of reasons, from the prevalence of social media to this toxic level of self-absorption to the low quality food. But we need a different way. And most parenting books never talk about the brain. But your brain, your child's brain, is involved in everything they do. And us stop seeing these as mental health problems, but rather as brain health problems, just begins to change everything.
So with everything that you've done, why did you decide to blend brain science with one of the most effective parenting programs, parenting with love and logic?
I love that program so much, but think of it as a software program when you have to have the hardware that will run it. And so, as a child psychiatrist, but at Amen Clinics, I have 11 clinics around the country. We also do brain imaging work that when we look at their brains, we're like, oh, this isn't healthy. So, for example, in our society today, most people think of marijuana as innocuous. It's clearly not. It's toxic to brain function. And ultimately, to help your child have the best brain possible. It's three things we talk about in raising mentally strong children. It's love your brain. It's really focus on caring for the organ that cares for you. Avoid anything that hurts it. You just have to know the list. I talked about marijuana, and then do things that help it. And it's critical to take your child's devices before they go to bed, because in the book we talk about bright minds. These are the 11 major risk factors that hurt the brain, but the S in bright minds is for sleep, and getting adequate sleep is absolutely essential to a healthy brain.
Out of everything that you've done and everything your book says, what's one message that you absolutely need to have parents take away from this book?
If you want mentally strong children, you have to be mentally strong yourself, because ultimately you're always modeling the message that you're taking care of your brain, that you're not believing every stupid thing you think. In the book, we talk a lot about ants, automatic negative thoughts. And children today are filled with more ants than ever before. But it's the modeling from the parents. So the benefit of reading this book and implementing this book is you're going to be mentally stronger. Your children will be as well.
Thanks so much for being on the show, Dr. Amen.
Thank you.
We have a very special guest coming up. Can't tell you who she is, but she kind of looks like me, so you won't want to miss this. Joining us now is one of my favorite people in the world, my own daughter, Giovanna Mullen. She's not just my daughter, she is also an award-winning personal trainer with an online and an in-person personal training business in Delray Beach, Florida. She is making everybody's lives better, healthier, and more productive. Giovanna, I'm going to talk to you all about fitness.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on the show today.
All right. So we all know what happens from a fitness perspective when you work out and you feel better about yourself. But talk a little bit about how a fitness regimen actually helps you be more productive at work.
Yeah, so fitness improves a lot of things, and probably a lot more than people realize, in a lot of different more ways than people realize. So your fitness is tying into your health in general, and your health is everything, as you know. If you've ever gotten sick, if you've ever gotten or known someone who's gotten sick, your health is everything. But fitness does a lot more than just looks. Of course, we think of the big ones, of course, losing weight, either gaining weight if that's your goal, building muscle, cardiovascular health, things like that. But it also improves your work-life balance every day, which I know sounds crazy, but it really does. Big things that it helps improve are your energy levels. You're more willing to do more things at work. You have the brain power to do more things at work. You feel a little clearer every day that you come in. It also improves your productivity in that same sentence. You are 10% more productive at work when you are on a clear fitness regime, and you are doing it consistently, which is huge for most employers and most employees.
And your business really took off during the pandemic when a lot of companies were hiring you to do online training, not just for one person, but for entire teams of companies to keep them active so that they could stay productive, but also stay healthy, both physically and mentally. Talk about how mental wellness is tied to physical fitness.
And mental wellness is super important, whether you're at work or whether you're outside of work. So things that get improved when you are doing a consistent fitness regime are things like your mood. Your mood is all the way up, usually skyrockets right after you work out and a few hours after you work out, as well as when you work out, wake up in the morning. It also is improved there. You get better sleep, which again helps you with that mood during the day, just in general. Your self-esteem is up, so you're feeling a little better. Mentally, you're feeling a little better, and that ties into how you present yourself every day at work and outside of work. You feel accomplished when you're working out. When you can see those physical results in the mirror, you feel better. Even when you can't see those physical results in the mirror, you just feel like you've accomplished something in your day or in your week, which is, again, tying all the way back to everything else that you're doing. And then lastly, it improves your cognitive function. So you are clearer. You are actually known to be clear-headed at work and thinking better at work. There is so many companies right now that are including their fitness and a wellness program for their employees in their everyday packages that they offer and their everyday benefits. And it is shown that there is a 25% decrease in employee turnover when you are including that in your benefits for your employees, which is a huge, huge deal, especially in how the job market has been the last few years. And it's a huge deal for employers, and it's a huge deal for employees.
What are your pieces of advice for somebody that's looking for a personal trainer?
Fitness is just as vulnerable as it is going to the doctor or somewhere else that you'd be having to be vulnerable with a person you're in a vulnerable state. So make sure that there is someone that you feel comfortable with and feel okay with, someone that you feel like you could ask if you're having a problem, you're having an injury, you're having something that doesn't feel right. Someone that you can trust and go to is really important. And they could be the best trainer in the world, but if you can't go to them and you don't feel like you can talk to them, then they're not the right trainer for you. The second thing is to make sure that they are qualified and certified. It is very, very easy, especially with social media, to find people who have never gotten a certification a day in their life, and let alone a certification, never went to school for it, never did any of those things. And it is all over the internet, especially with the uprise of plastic surgery and things that can make it look like someone is a lot more qualified than they are. But again, let's not forget that this is your health. And while it may seem stupid, especially when you're younger or when you are just starting out, to find someone who's super qualified, it's really important later down the road. So making sure that you find someone with a certification. The easiest way to see if someone is actually certified is to ask them what kind of certification they have. The simplest and most used one in the field at the moment is NASM. That's NASM.com or .org, whatever it is. And you can go on there and you can simply type in your trainer's first name, last name, and see if they're certified, what they're certified in, what they got that certification in. But they do have that same type of thing for every certification out there. There is always a way for you to check. And if you can't find it, just ask them. I know it sounds weird, it sounds uncomfortable, but again, like, this is your health, this is important, and you need to make sure that they have some type of certification or experience under them, that they are teaching you the right things and the right movements.
Thanks for being on, Jeej.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Everybody, stay tuned. You're going to love who we talk to next. Chantelle Baier's journey is a remarkable tapestry of professional innovation and deep-rooted family values. As a founder of FourSpace, a pioneering space company specializing in the commercialization of the space industry, she has redefined the expansion of human expression by placing the first authorized artwork on the moon. How cool is that? Welcome, Chantelle.
Hi, Jeannie. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And I know our viewers are dying to know a little bit about how you got to where you are today and how you hope to inspire other young women.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show today, because you know what? We really want to inspire women and girls and kids around the world with this new opportunity that's opening up in the space industry. Now we have private companies that are sending things to space, and this opens up the world to be able to send artwork, music, poetry. So now pretty much anything that you do, we need to start looking at what we can create for space. And FourSpace actually was created in 2017 as a vehicle to really pump in non-traditional space industries at the suggestion of NASA. NASA said, you have a wonderful background in entertainment, design, and also the technical capabilities. So now we need to start telling the world what we can do. And this is a way for us to integrate non-traditional space items. So one of our first projects, the most exciting project that we have to date, was landing the first artwork on the moon. And February 22nd was a successful mission. We landed, and it will now be placed on the moon as a historical land site forever. And we are so proud of that because we had to test all of the materials, NASA safety verify everything. And then we also got to work with a wonderful artist. And so we want to really inspire kids and girls through this project and show them now the door is opened. We have missions coming up, 4 more missions to the moon. So I'd love to hear from your audience of what some ideas they would love to place on the moon or in space. What would inspire them? Is it Minecraft? Is it Roblox? You know?
So what is your vision for the moon? Are you looking to be the interior decorator for the moon, or?
Basically, yeah, we want to bring culture and everything that we do here on Earth. We want to do this on the moon as well. But this time we're thinking of everything in a very sustainable way. You know, we knew that Intuitive Machines was sending their lunar lander to the South Pole. It's a very important mission to test NASA instruments. And NASA is testing sensors and mapping capabilities so that when we send the first astronauts there, then it will be safe for them and we know the areas. And so we knew this mission was going, and we said, what can we add to this mission that can connect humanity to it? And so the art project was a beautiful way for us to do that. So we knew that it was just adding to a mission. It wasn't extra garbage placed on the moon or junk. And we want to be very careful of everything. So we ended up doing a lot of testing on materials that we're going to use in the future as well. So all of the tests that we ran for, this is first clear anything that has been placed on the moon. And so it will help us when we want to build bases there. And, you know, humans are going to need windows and light. And when we set up the habitats for spaces, thinking of those things. So we want all the comfortable, beautiful things that we have here on Earth.
Well, I've got to say, you have your hands full with such a compelling, and I can hear the passion in your voice around this project. Thank you so much for being on Lift Up. This was a conversation that was out of this world.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. We've got more great guests coming up. Everybody, you're going to love this interview with Tory. Tory Archbold is one of the most powerful and connected women in Australia. As CEO and founder of Powerful Steps, she is a force to be reckoned with, and the author of Self-Belief is Your Superpower. She's here to tell us more about our personal brand. Tory, welcome, and tell us, why does your personal brand matter?
Personal brand matters on so many different levels, Jeannie, because we would not have met if we were not an energetic match, which meant you probably Googled me. I definitely Googled you. You go down the rabbit hole and you actually trust yourself. Is this a good connection for me to create a partnership with, to go for a job interview with, or to set up business with? So our personal brand says so much about us because it's anchored to our truth, but most importantly, it's anchored to our values, our intent, and our purpose. And we're so lucky because Captain Google actually works for us in this instance. The more information we put in that's anchored to what we want to attract, the more likely those doors that we really want to open in our career are going to open.
You know, a lot of people are just happy that they show up when people Google them. And some people have such common names that you type it in and it's just so many different Google results. Tell us, what is important about when people Google themselves? What do they need to know?
Yeah, you got to beat the algorithm, and your digital footprint is so important. So we developed this 5-point story framework, which we work with a lot of leaders around the world to transform their brands, because they have exactly the same issues. Someone Googles them and, they could be a jailbird from Ohio that's been busted for drugs, but actually they're leading a global team and they've got this great credibility in the workforce, but they don't have it online. So I always say, when you take ownership of your story and you actually work with platforms such as LinkedIn, which has the biggest algorithm in the world, and you consistently show up and you give value to others, that is the fastest and most accurate way you can actually remove that person that some people may think is you and actually replace them with the wisdom and what you have to share with the world. And we see that works really, really well when you actually just open up a Google Doc and you go through 5 points of your story, which is, where did you grow up? What kind of an environment was it that, you were blessed to be born into? The second part is, when you left school, who did you want to be? So for me, my parents wanted to box me as an interior designer. I have 3 kids, a white picket fence, and that was going to be my life, but I decided to jump out of the box, back myself, go to London, had the opportunity to work, on the working holiday visa with media giants like MTV Europe. I worked with Nickelodeon, Columbia TriStar, George Lucas Films, fell in love with storytelling. So then when I go to my Google Doc in part 3, it's okay, I backed myself. I started my first business when I was 24 years old. I attracted the world's top performing retail brands, celebrities, influencers. How did I do it? It's actually part 2 of my story. It's like backing myself, falling in love with what lit me up, which was storytelling. So then you go into part 4 of your story, which really is after you've had this great success and survival piece, you're always hit with a challenge in this lifetime. So for me, it was a near-death experience 10 years ago. Completely transformed my life. Instead of selling my business, I decided to shut it and start again. And that's where the power of my story really came from, because I was so used to being behind the scenes, telling other people's stories and achieving great success for them, but I wasn't doing it for myself. Which then when you go into point 5 of my story, it was like, okay, I'm not wearing little black dresses anymore. I can wear color. I can actually stand in my truth. I can share the power of my story, which when you look at the framework of it, it was success and survival. And that's what birthed my business, Powerful Steps, and which brought me to speak to you today about how do you tell your story? It's by taking ownership of who you are. Stories are for each and every one of us to own, to share, and to pay forward what we've learned, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. What it does is it places you in a position, just like a product or a service, that narrates a story that people want to follow and become a part of. And that's how not only do you build a powerful brand, you build your own powerful brand.
Hey, Tori, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for being on Liftoff.
Thank you for having me, Jeannie. And I wish everyone a successful liftoff on LinkedIn.
That is all we have time for today, but you can follow us on social for more tips, behind the scenes content, laughs, and so much more. See you next time.